I'm Dr. Angela McBurdy of drflute.com, and today's flute tip is on more problems with your low C. I get a lot of inquiries about how do I get my low C to come out. Now, I've done a video on the general problems of low C, but let's talk about it with a little more depth to it. Your low notes, pretty much from E down, are often difficult to get, especially if you have to tongue them in a very short span of time. So this real staccato kind of sound. Staccatos can wreak havoc, especially when they are in the low register, such as the Cantabile et Presto by Ionesco. This piece that I was playing right now is Glosas del Heladero. It's a piece that's a fantasy by Luis Julio Toro from Venezuela. It's a Venezuelan merengue dance, and I always play it too slow. So for my Venezuelan people out there, don't judge me too harshly for not playing this because I don't really know a merengue. But I like this one because it has these low C's, C sharps, D's, E's that I have to pull out of midair from playing a high note. So I will play that right there. So I'm going A to high E, back to A, and then I have to poke out a low C. It's the tempo is 240 to the eighth note, and these are all eighth notes. So it's going by pretty fast, even though there aren't staccatos on them. So I need to be able to play that low C quickly. That one is a C sharp. Okay. Now, what I've talked about in the past is working on this C chromatic tonguing exercise, which I've explained in more depth on my low C video. How do I get my low C? It's just playing all the way down, and I would do it much slower. But what that reveals, because you have to play it very shortly, it reveals that generally you blow too much air on your low C, and I can't emphasize that enough. There is too much air coming out to get that low C to come out properly. For me to play that, I'm basically holding my breath. I take my breath in, I hold it, I use only the air that's situated in my mouth, and I will play it. So you can tell, because I have to let air out in order to take air back in. So generally, that is the problem. Now, in that video of how do I get my low C, I talked about the first thing you need to do is make sure that you don't have any leaks, because the low C, with all your fingers down and then fingering that low C, or B for that matter, it reveals that you have a leakage problem. If that's in any way the issue here, get your flute looked at and make sure that it's not a leakage problem, because it's nothing more frustrating than to be working and getting nowhere. You want to work hard and you want to see results. Now, you're probably not going to see results right away. It's going to take time, days, in order to learn how to go from a C in that C chromatic tonguing exercise to an E flat, D, C sharp, okay. Now I want to have that practiced and that I'm feeling reasonably comfortable doing that. Now I want to put it in my pieces. So now I've done that and I can get those to come out. Now I'm playing this piece. It didn't come out. That was a low C. It didn't come out. And now I have to ask myself why. I know how to get that C to come out. And in this instance, it didn't come out. Well, the reason why, the biggest reason why here, as long as I'm holding my air in, is that the note, 2 notes prior to that low C is a high E, or 3rd octave E. And I had my embouchure stay in that high E embouchure. I can't play a low C and have it respond like that if I'm keeping my E embouchure, that high embouchure, because I'm more ooh, the airstream is higher, there's a little more firmness here, and for the low C, I'm dropping my jaw to do ah, and I want my air directed down, going from an E to a low C. I need to move that embouchure. And now, when I play this at 8th note equal 240, every single note is an 8th note, so it's moving along really fast. I need to make sure that my embouchure changes. So now I will take just the measure, the A, so the 1st octave A, 3rd octave E, back to 1st octave A, and down to that C, slowly, and think about how do I aim my embouchure for each note. The A to C is slurred, so I started slurring it, but I would tongue it for a while. And then I try to go faster to say, can my embouchure move quickly like that? And then when I'm getting somewhere and that low C is coming out really well, then I'll put it back together. Okay? So first, when you're working on your low C, it's making sure, I can't say it strongly enough, make sure you hold your air in. Too much air is a killer to staccato notes in your low register. 2, change your embouchure. Make sure that it is reflecting how you play a low C. You can't keep a high embouchure and try to get the low C to come out. It's not going to work. It's not going to work for me. It's not going to work for you. I have to change my embouchure all the time as I'm playing. It has to be in a state of flux. It has to move. And then make sure that your tonguing is nice and precise as well, because that ta on your low C, ta, bring it really forward. A tongue too far back is going to allow for that delay, that air to come out. So bring the tongue forward to ta and make that low C happen right away. And lastly, make sure that when you're tonguing that low C, that your tongue is really forward. A back tongue, so one that's somewhere between that little knob on the roof of your mouth to the ridge before you arches back, that is much, much more difficult to get a fast response, to not have that delay when you go ta, if the tongue is back. It needs to be forward. It needs to be thought of as a point. Think of it as a point, ta, that just releases that air. It's releasing the air that is in your mouth, not the air that's in your lungs. All right, so that's some of the ways that I work on when I need to get a low C and I need it fast, such as this piece, that these low notes just pop out. We're playing high, high, and then all of a sudden a low note, and then high, and then a low note pops out. And I have to make it sing. It has to come out, because if there's the delay, all someone would hear is a puff of air. It's too fast. I'm not holding the note long enough for the note to come in after the puff of air, after that delay. It can be frustrating working on getting this. Do it for little bits of time. Do it frequently. Work on the C chromatic tonguing exercise. Watch that video, How Do I Get My Low C? Add that to this, and you'll have a framework of how to work on that low C, and it will start working for you. I guarantee it will. But what's my biggest key here? Hold in that air. Don't let it out. Most people don't believe in how much I mean don't let it out. Hold it, you tongue, you hold, take your breath. I didn't let out air. I used only the air that was already stored in my mouth. Try it. You'll find that it does work, but it does take a little bit of time. It's not going to work probably, maybe it will, but might not work today if you're having problems. But it's worth it because the payoff is great. When you work on that low C and those low notes, the tone, because you're learning how to hold your air in, the tone down in your low register gets richer and fuller. It's just phenomenal. And that only benefits your upper register. So you are really working on a tone exercise when you work on low C. Work on that. You'll be glad you did, and it'll be reflected in your tone. That's today's flute tip. If you like this video, press the like button, comment below, subscribe, and share it with your friends.